Tonight, True Success Story, it's True Success Story Academy.
That's fine though, we love Victor anyway. Call it whatever he wants.
They are like a one-stop shop for self-improvement. And they're going to give us a little taste of work-life balance and what it means and how we can go ahead and achieve it. They've been in business for about 5 years, and they used to talk for big-name people, one of which I will not mention. The other one is Tony Robbins. But they've been in business very successfully, teaching and helping people get better. With any further ado, Mike and Andy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, before I get started and have Mike get on, oh, sorry, he's got to turn on the microphone. Hey, good catch. Yeah. Good as not. There we go. Mic's on. Yeah. Mike, is Mike's mic on? Yeah. Mike's mic is on. Good. So before we get started, really quick, everyone just raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Finger up. Your index finger. Sorry about that. I didn't clarify. Move it up and down. Move it up and down. All right. Excellent. Now, I need you to place this index finger right here on your thumb, connecting it to your thumb. You guys see that? It's a really cool exercise. All right. Now, listen up very carefully. With this circle, here's what we have to do. I need you to place it right here on your chin.
Oh, I did have my eye.
Your chin is here. Moral of the story is, guys, we're going to be speaking today, but you all got to pay attention. Because here's what happened, and I've been doing seminar speaking, like I said. Yes, one of the gentlemen I spoke for was our president, well, is our president, well, way before he was our president. And I've spoken for various companies all across the world, and I will say this. If you learn one thing tonight that changes your life, today's well worth it. Would you agree?
Yes.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. Now, what we're going to do is really quick with your business cards, a little exercise Victor showed me, and I love this one. It's called Miss Q. Miss Q. You're going to put on your business card, if you could put, everyone just take out your business card, take out your pen, and write MRSQ. So you're going to write Miss Q. And on that, you're going to hear Mike and I talk today, and you're going to start getting ideas and questions, and you're going to see opportunities for us, right? And so what I want you to do is, as you listen to us today, because you're going to listen, right? No chin, no cheek, right? An M, you'll circle the M if you feel like you want to have a meeting with us, okay? M for meeting. R for referral, where you say, hey, this guy would be great for this kind of company, for this kind of school, because we go everywhere and what we do. Now the S would be for a speaking opportunity. If you say, you know what, I see a speaking opportunity with them, great, circle S. And the Q would be for a question. Maybe a specific question. We only have about 45 minutes with you all. There's a ton of information we have to cover, and we go deep very fast, and a question might come up. That's great, and at the end we have question and answers, right? So you guys can ask us questions, and we can't wait for that as well. Circle Q and write the question out, and that will be awesome. And then at the end, when we're done, I'm going to also give you all something for free, something that we have, one of our products. As a thank you for everyone being here today and inviting us out here, we're going to give everybody a free product that we're very proud of, which is pretty amazing, and you're going to see what we're talking about when we're done. Okay? So, my name is Andy, this is Michael Manrique, and we're going to start it off. So, go get it, Mike.
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing?
Great.
No, really, how's everyone doing?
Wonderful.
There we go, much better. So today we're going to be talking about work-life balance, right? Trying to figure out how to answer that elusive mystery of that work and life and balance. Well, what is work-life balance? Well, we all know what work is, right? A lot of us just came from work, right? And then we got life, and that's our personal life absent of work. But the major obstacle that we all deal with is trying to figure out how to balance the two. And for a lot of us, when we think about balancing, right, we all have our own perspective as to what balance might mean, based on our situation, right? Some of us might have families, might be single, So some people might want, 80% work, 20% personal life, maybe a 50-50. Either way, we all are looking for something similar to this, right? This is a scale, right, where everything falls in its place. Ideally, we'd like work to fit in its place, if it's 9 to 5, whatever the hours are for you. And then after that, we'd like to disconnect and just have life. And if anything falls from work to life or life to work, then we have problems, right? So what we're looking for is something that's just perfect, right? Where we have work over here and life over there, and everything's at peace and harmony. But that's not reality, is it? Life is constant. Life is always moving forward. So instead of thinking about balance as a scale, I want you to think about balance as an athlete. All right? Athletes are moving side to side, dealing with the situation. A prime example is a football player. Imagine the running back getting the ball, right? He gets the ball, he has 11 defenders trying to bring him down. So as the defenders are coming at him, he's got to dodge, juke, spin, jump, do whatever he can to balance the situations coming at him. And while the football player plays on the football field, that's his playing field, guess what? Our playing field is life. So every situation, everything matters. And the way that we address every situation is what's going to provide us the balance that we're looking for. And that is what, and that is based on a few things. Concept number one is that we need to learn how to say yes to certain things that serve us and no to certain things that don't serve us. We got to learn to take responsibility for our actions. We need to learn to take control. We need to learn to have a system in place that's going to provide us a way to get things done. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And that's what true success is all about. You see, true success is broken down to 3 pillars. The first pillar of true success is discover. Discover is all about finding clarity as to what you truly value in your personal and professional life. So, ideally, if I'm looking to get in an intimate relationship, or if I'm looking to start a new business, or if I'm looking to get a promotion at work, you're going to do the discovery process. Because what it does is it paves a road to get to that endpoint, to that destination. And what it allows you to do is build certain waypoints along the way to empower you to go on this trip, to take this journey, to build that new business, to start this new career, to get into a serious relationship with someone. But guess what? Just because we lay the roadway and we understand how to get to that endpoint, to that destination, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get there. Because as we go on our destination, we're all going to be dealt with obstacles and failure and struggle. And for a lot of us, when we feel failure, we fall off our path. And for a lot of us, we quit. So to face our obstacles and to face our failure, we need to implement the second pillar of true success, which is create. Create is all about providing the psychological principles or the mental muscle to help you deal with your failures, to help you deal with the obstacles and struggles in life along your path to get to that endpoint. So this is great, right? So we got our path, we know where we're going to go, we have some waypoints along the way to make sure that we're on the right path, and now we have the psychological principles that we're going to be talking about to deal with the failures. So we reach our destination, but what happens? We get into our intimate relationship, we start that new business, we get that promotion at work, but we don't want to fall back to our old habits of feeling out of control and not having barriers, not being able to say no and yes to things, not having a system in place to move forward, to grow our business, to grow whatever corporate job we got, to build on a relationship. No, we want to sustain it. And to sustain it, what we need to do is we need to implement the third pillar of true success, which is become. Become allows us to sustain for the long haul our relationships, our business, and whatever else you're trying to do in life. And that's exactly what me and Andy went through. You see, me and Andy, we both thought we were living the good life. That's right, guys, the good life. You see, Andy, as he mentioned, he was a professional speaker. Speaking in different continents, traveling around the United States of America, speaking on a week-to-week basis. He was living a good life, making a lot of money, living on the beach, driving fast cars, buying multiple properties. And then what happened? 2008 happened. And he lost it all.
I wasn't alone, was I? Yeah.
For me, I found someone, got married, had a kid, bought a house, got all these things, right? Even got a dog. Wow, dogs. Awesome. and then I lost it all. My relationship with my wife at the time fell apart. Even though I had all these things, everything I thought was good wasn't so good. And that's when I began looking introspectively to figure out what it was exactly that life's all about. What is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that I want in a partner? And then that's when I and Andy got together and we started researching. We started researching from experts in the fields of psychology, neuroscience, and mindfulness studies, and relationships. And it took us over 5 years to build a program that helps everyone get from point A, when they fail, to success. And what we want to do here is we want to expedite that process. We want to provide everyone the awareness, the information, so they can deal with the problems, so they can see things for what they are, so they can move forward in life. So now that we understand the concept of balance, right? Everything matters, right guys? Everything matters. We got to deal with the truth. We got to learn how to say yes and no to things. I got a question for you guys. How do you guys know what you're doing here today with your life is truly worth your time, energy, and effort? How do you know that the goals that you set for yourself are truly worth it? Well, the only way to truly know is to go through the discovery process. And that's what we're going to do right now. So, discover, as I mentioned, is defined as finding clarity as to what you truly value in your personal and professional life. I want to talk about a philosopher. His name was Socrates. He's known to be the first great philosopher. And he has this quote, and it goes like this: "The unexamined life is not a life worth living." I need this to sink in, guys. The unexamined life is not a life worth living. Think about that. If you never actually looked within yourself to figure out what you want, what you need, what you value, who is guiding your life? For the majority of us, it's the outside world. It's what society thinks says it's the good life. It's what your friends and your family tell you it's the good life. And what typically happens is at some point in our lives, we feel this hole. We feel like something's missing. And we got to search for this meaning and this fulfillment. But it's only because we haven't truly examined our life to figure out what the heck it is we value. So, if we had to examine our lives, how many people here, by a show of hands, would choose the best life? How many people here? Show of hands. How many people would choose the best life? Let me see. The best life for you. The best life for you. How many people would choose the best life for you? Sorry about that. I got to get clear. Awesome. So if you had to choose the best life, the first question we need to ask ourselves is, what do you want out of life? Happiness, okay. Let's see. See if that's it.
Health.
What do you want out of life?
Health.
All right.
Without health.
Here we go. All right, good. So what we're about to get into is an exercise that's psychological in nature, just like this. Okay? This is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Abraham Maslow is a famous psychologist that came out with this pyramid to show us what it is that humans generally need in life, right? How many people have seen this before, have heard of this before? Okay, excellent. So he has physiological needs on the bottom and safety needs above that, and as you climb to the top, you get to self-actualization. But guess what, guys? This is very general. What I'm looking to do for each and every one of you here today is to figure out what you guys truly value. We're looking to do something that's more individualistic, more specific, more detailed. Because what I value and what you value are probably different. The way we want to live our lives are going to be slightly different. So it's important to understand what we would do in life, what type of life we would live. So what we're going to get into is what we call the true values exercise. Okay, and to begin this exercise, what we need to do is we need to write down a list of everything we find good in life. So I tell my students, take out a piece of paper and pen, and I want you to write down a list of everything that you find good in life. Now, before you guys start writing, it's important to understand that I typically request that you take 10 minutes to try to figure out everything that you find good in life. And that is an arduous task. You'd be surprised how difficult it is to actually write down everything that you find good in life. 10 minutes will actually push you to the limit. So when you write down a list of things that you want in life, or a list of good things, what I'm asking typically is something that's general or specific, or something that you want to feel or experience. But as I mentioned, since we're tight on time today, what I want you guys to do is just follow along with me. I'm going to show you what I find good in life, and then what I want you guys to do is I want you to look out for a few things. When I show you my list, which I'm going to do in just a few minutes, I want you to look out for any holes. Okay? So I'm going to show you a list, and if there's anything that I didn't write, go ahead and jot it down. Okay? Now, if there's anything that you disagree with that I wrote, go ahead and scratch it off and add whatever you would in its place. All right? So here we go. Here's my list. This is a list of everything I find good in life. All right, so I'm going to read it off real quick. So I want a nice car, a big house with a basketball hoop. That's really important to me. Kids, wife, love, quality relationships, a business, accomplishment, laughter, joy, vacation to Scotland, travel, a good job, passion, integrity, connection, free time, leisure, money, presence, respect, creativity, education, friends, happiness, caring, contribution, honesty, a big-ass TV, and a gym. You gotta have that big-ass TV, right, guys? So, what you're gonna notice here is that this is a list of good things, right? So if we were to give this list to a stranger, and they were to see this list, they would say, wow, everything on this list seems to be good and positive. Absolutely. Everything that we need to value in our life needs to be good. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, that's the foundation. Good and positive. Now, this is simply just a list. There's no rhyme and reason to the way I put this, right? I just started jotting down a list of things that I thought were good in life for me. But to find clarity, what we need to do is we need to have some structure, all right? So let's dive into that. Now, actually, typically, let me mention this. So typically, when I have my students do this, this is a longer process. So it might take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes to do. And what I first ask them to do is I ask them to write down a list of all the things they prioritize on this list. So the good things on this list, what are your top ones, right? So they'll write that down, and typically people generally put about 3 to 7. They'll pick 3 to 7 of these, and we'll call those the major chunks, right? And then we begin a process of breaking down those major chunks slowly but surely so they understand what they truly value in life. And this is a great experience because what happens to a lot of us is that we don't realize that most of the time we're spending our time doing something that doesn't serve us, that we don't truly value. But for today, what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you what every human being needs to value. The 3 major chunks of our lives are ourself, shocker there, quality relationships, and our business. Now, business can also mean our career, our job. Could also mean just being productive in general. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom or dad. Guess what? You got to get shit done, right? So what typically happens when we see this is that because business is our moneymaker, right? Provides us the means to live, the majority of us naturally focus on our business. That's what we do, right? It's going to provide us our house, it's going to pay for our kids' college, and on and on and on. In the meantime, what we do is we spend less and less time with our relationships, our friends and family, and with ourselves. Awesome. So, but it's important to understand that that's not the way we should be living our life. You see, one of the longest studies ever done, and still in the process of being worked on, is a 75-year study that looked into what determines the quality life. What determines longevity for human beings? And in this study, there's one characteristic above all else that stands out as to the reason why people live longer than others and as to why people have happier lives. And the answer is our relationships. Our relationships with our friends and our family and ourselves. That's what is proven. This is one of the longest studies ever done. So we got to change our priority, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So great. So we understand what our major chunks are in life. Okay, Mike, this is great. So yeah, my business, yeah, I got my relationships, I got myself. I know this stuff. This is important, right? But how do I know exactly what to do? So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to bring over everything that we found good in life. Remember that previous list? And we're going to fill in that list wherever it's appropriate in these major chunks. Now, there's a few things I want to go over. One is, remember, we're trying to get detailed. We're trying to get specific here. So what we want to do is we want to fade away from anything that's too vague or general. And the typical answer that we put on our list of good things is happiness. But happiness, for the sake of this exercise, guys, simply means something I want. That's it. But that's not very specific or detailed. So what is it that makes you happy? What is it that makes you happy? Whatever makes you happy, then I want you to add it to one of these three major chunks wherever it applies. Another thing I want you to note is I have connection over here in quality relationship. I have connection in self, and I have connection in business. You can put the good things that you find in life in multiple chunks because they're going to mean different things. You see, for self, connection means, for me, working out. When I work out, I feel connection. When in my quality relationships, when I'm with my wife, I have connection. In business, when I speak to my vice president, I feel connection. Okay? What connection are you trying to work on? All right? Another note I want to make is a lot of people, well, actually, what happens is some values or some things that we put good that are on our list that are good are actually prerequisites for something that we actually value. And the majority of the time, people are going to put money on their list. But no one in this room would ever put money for its own sake. And I want to tell you why. You see, money, if I gave everyone in here $20 million cash, tax-free, but let's say I had a few conditions, right? Number one, you couldn't spend the money. You couldn't share the money. You couldn't give it away. You couldn't even have it stolen from you. You can't even tell people you have this money. All you can do with this $20 million is count it by yourself.
Really?
You're quickly going to notice and see that that $20 million isn't worth $20 million, right? It's just a bunch of paper. Maybe you could build little, I don't know, houses with or something. But what we want to look into is, what can we get with that money? What is it that you want to accomplish with that money? And that answer is what you want to add to this list. That's the clarity that we're looking for, right? Because money gets us something. And what is that something? That's what needs to be added. So this is great, guys. Check this out. We got our major chunks. We know exactly what we need to value in our lives. Ourself, our quality relationships, our friends and our family, and we need to be productive, either at a job or in our business or at home, just being an at-home mom, you know. So this is great. But now let's take it a step further. Let's really get that clarity. Let's build a to-do list, an action list where we can live a life based on our values on a day-to-day basis. So the way to do that is to ask questions to each item in these major chunks. So remember, guys, I talked about connection, right, with myself. And I said, what does connection mean for me? Do you guys remember what I said? Working out. That's right. Working out. So that's the what. What does connection mean to self? Working out. How? I'll say, oh, lifting weights. Okay? So I'm working out. I'm lifting weights. When? I'm going to do that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 o'clock in the morning. And obviously, who's not necessary here because I'm dealing with the self. But when you do your quality relationships and you do your business, well, guess what? You're going to have to figure out a who. And if we do this for every single item in our major chunks, guess what we're going to have? We're going to have a to-do list of what our agenda is, of the things that we value. Everything that we do going forward is going to be based on what we truly want. We're no longer living a life based on a caged experience of what society says, or our friends, or our family. No, it's based on what we truly value. It's authentic. It's real. You're not going to feel that loneliness. You're not going to feel that hole in it. This is the type we all need to live. So, this is great. So now we know, again, we have our road. We know what we value, right? We can get to that destination. But remember, guys, as I mentioned, just because you lay out the path and we know exactly what to do in our lives, doesn't mean we're going to get there. Because we're going to deal with failure. We're going to deal with obstacles. And that's when we have to implement the second pillar of true success, which is create. Guys, if you guys can put your hands together to welcome Andy to the front here.
Hey, guys. Awesome. So now we have what we love, by the way, right? We know what we want. But this, pretty much when people first meet me and they're like, Eddie, you're a motivational speaker. All that discovery stuff sounds boring. Just get me happy already. Make me productive. I want to lose weight. You immediately go to that. But discover is such an important piece of what Mike's talking about, because how the heck can you live a life if you can't identify what you like or don't like? All right, great. So we got discover out of the way. So now create is the mental CrossFit, right? That's the mental muscle, because I can jack people up and crank them up and get them excited. But next Thursday, guess what's going to happen to your habits? You're going back to your old ways. So before I can even talk about productivity, health, fitness, changing your life on the outside, I have to start changing you where? On the inside. So one of the spokes of the wheel that we talk about in Create is actual control. That's one of the spokes of the wheel we talk about with control. We talk about meaning, significance, relationships, but we have a limited time today, so let's talk about control. And what is control? It's simple. Controlling your mind, because as soon as you can control your mind, you can control what? Everything. Does that make sense? If you can control your mind, you can control what? Everything. That's why I tell students, we have to start with this. Because when you're out there making decisions, it's out there by yourself making your own decisions. No longer mom and dad and me and your sister and your daughters are there with you. No, it's all about you. So control is simple. Because I hear this everywhere I go, and I'm sure all of you all on Facebook and Instagram hear the same things that I'm hearing as well, right? Guess what you're hearing? That's just the way I am, Andy. I just had to eat that cake. Oh, you had no idea. You were talking about this before. You have no idea what my coworker just told me. I'm pissed. To hell with them. You have any idea what they told me? You have any idea what my customer just told me? Of course I sent him to hell. He gave me, are you kidding me? Is that really the state we're in now? Just a reactive way of living? You had to eat that chocolate cake? Really, you had no choice. You guys see where I'm going with this, right? But we're all guilty of it. So am I, until you start checking yourself mentally. So I'm going to show you all the breakdown of how this works, because if I were to tell you, let's grow your biceps, you'll say, yes, I can grow it, I can work it out, and you'll give me a plan, won't you? But if I talked about reprogramming your brain and remapping your brain, you might say, what is that? But you can. You can remap it, and the more science is evolving, the more we are proving that you can change the actual makeup of your brain. Isn't that exciting? Literally. We can literally run tests on your brain as you are fully functional right now and seeing what parts of the brain are changing as you're changing your behavior. Science is super fun. I get kind of geeky about it. And so I'm going to show you a little bit of a breakdown of a model that's called the data to action process flow, of how you interpret data and how that causes you to take an action. So we broke it down into a very simple framework for you all. So data. What's data? Right now, I'm your data. You're seeing me, you're looking at me, right? Some of you are probably thinking about what you're going to eat for dinner. Some of you are probably here, whatever. But right now, how you're responding to me is all up to you, all right? So I'm your data right now. And it all interprets it differently, because just like witnesses in a car accident, you can be outside of La Carreta, 5 of you, you see a car hitting a car, right? Same concept, but you'll get how many different stories of what happened? Maybe 6. You're right. Because everyone's interpretation of what they just saw is what? Different. So I'm going to show you how it processes in your brain. Okay? So you have the portion of your brain that's the analytical part, the analysis portion, and it's a two-part system. Number one is the automatic analysis. This is the fight or flight, the good, the bad. Should we leave? Should I stay? This is automatic. You have no decision in this whatsoever. It's the animalistic portion of our brain. Boom. It's fast. Then it goes into the second part of awareness, meaning what I just saw, what does it mean to me? An example that I've heard before is, Andy, you can just raise your hand, and the person next to you can just go, oh, the person's raising their hand? That's cool, he must be smart. The person next to you can say, oh shit, there goes another answer I don't know. Does that make sense?
Another question.
Right? Another question I don't know the answer to. I'm an idiot. Right? What are you talking about? But two different people looking at two different things, right? So awareness is looking at what things mean to me. And that right there is the stimulus response part of our brain. It's the primitive part of our brain. Monkey see, monkey do. I feel, I do, that's it. Really emotional, really basic, really animalistic. That's the most simplest way I can put that. Now what happens is, what separates us from animals is what's called aim. Aim is intention setting. Just like a rifle, if I point at it, I am more likely going to what? Hit it, shoot at it. So if you set the intention to work out, you are more likely going to what? Work out. If you set the intention to not work out, you probably won't work out, right? So you set the aim. Out of thin air, you can do this. And then you literally take the action. So you just see the linear portion, right, of how decisions are made. Okay, great, that sounds basic, Andy. I got it. So how does this apply to my life? Well, it's simple. Here's an example I want to give you all. And what was your name again? David. David, how you doing? Repeat myself again. And we have Sandra, right? So David and Sandra, I'm going to use them as my example right now. So David and Sandra, let's just say to keep everything the same, because Mike spoke about discovery, right? The values, what's important to them, connection, all these things. Just for sake for today, David and Sandra, they have the same values, same connections, the same things that they want out of life. They're identical, for example purposes. Discovery is the same for them. So now we move to create, and we'll talk about control and comparing them. Let's pretend they both come from the same employee and social upbringing. They came from the past employer where they had a super micromanager that was just running them to the ground emotionally. Now they have a new job, all right? Now they have a new job, and in this new job, they're in cubicles. And then they see their boss walking over to them, and they're both working in cubicles, but now they have the same backgrounds and all. Here's what's going to happen in their mind. So now David and Sandra see the boss coming over, and they both start feeling this analysis portion of, uh-oh, here comes the boss, right? Because they have that background, right? Uh-oh. A boss coming towards us usually means they're going to kick our butt. They're going to tell us something we didn't do right. We felt this before. This is what's happened. All right, I got it. What does this mean to me? The awareness portion, David and Sandra have the same one. They go, oh my gosh, he's probably going to come here and tell me how I'm not doing work right, or whatever it is. And they start going through the same emotions, both of them. This identical. They're both, because they come from the same exact background. All right? But here's the difference, though. On the aim, this is where the fork in the road begins to happen. Let's just say Sandra, she goes, hey, it's 5 o'clock. I need to get home because my husband, I have a date with him tonight. I got a soccer game to watch with my kids. These are connections that we learned in Discover, right? That's important to her. She's clear on it. She has that, so now she knows whether to put walls up or let other people come through the walls, right? So now she's like, you know what? It's 5 o'clock. I did all my work. By the way, they're both the same workers. They both finished their work. They're both the same type of employees, just to keep this example simple. And what happens, Sandra says, you know what? I'm out of here. I got to go home, go meet my husband, watch my kid's soccer game, maybe get a T25 workout in, whatever it is, I'm going to get it done. Awesome. She set the intention and she did it. But now David, different story. David felt the same thing, saw the boss, felt the, oh my gosh, the boss. They both felt the emotions, the negative emotions. My micromanager boss is going to come. He's going to tell me what I did was bad. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. He still feels like, yes, my wife's at home. I want to make a date with her. I got my daughter. She's at a soccer game. I want to work out. Yes, I want to do all that. It's clear to me. But he's going to let his emotions gauge his actions. He's going to go with his primitive part of the brain and go, I don't feel it. You know what? I'm going to stay till 7 o'clock at night so my boss can think I'm working harder and people think I'm going to work okay. And plus, we live in such a busy society where people valor busy. I love that. I'm busy. Really? I'm busy, I'm exhausted, what a long week you had. I'm like, that sucks for you, you know, right? We almost valor busy. People say I'm busy, I'm exhausted, I had a long week. Well, sometimes you kind of brag about it, right? People are like, yeah, I'm busy. But are you planning effectively? Are you saying no to the right things? Are you being as productive? These are questions I like to ask other people. Sometimes, yeah, you have hectic weeks, I get that. But a lot of times I begin to realize it's just a lack of productivity, a lack of vision, a lack of control. So then David goes, no, I've got to stay till 7 o'clock. And he calls his wife, I just can't make it, you have no idea, my boss is on my... But no, the boss did the same thing to Sandra as he did to him, but it's all where? It's all in his head. But he has to override it with his own intentions, because there's many times you don't feel like working out, but guess what? You work out anyways, right? There's times you don't want to help out your kid with homework, but guess what? You help them out with homework. There's times you don't want to go to a meeting and do something, but guess what? You still go. So when people tell me, Andy, I have no choice, that's bullshit. Because I'm showing you right here scientifically, and you know you make the choice for other things, but yet you tell me I have no option, I have no choice. No, he can say at 5 o'clock, I gotta go. I'm telling you, they did their work. Yeah, sometimes you gotta stay late. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, they're both in the same playing field. They both say, you know what? I'm leaving at 5 o'clock, my wife's waiting for me. Boom, let me make it happen. Let me override these feelings, and let me go on and live my life. But now, I'm assuming you have a healthy functioning brain. Does that make sense? If there's some sort of disease, a disorder. No, really, I'm saying, then I get that. You're right. But assuming you have a fully functional, mature brain, guess what? You have no more excuse to let your emotions gauge you now. We are not driven by that anymore. Yes, you can still feel it. Does that make sense? Yes, you still feel it, like, oh, but you override it. Now, you can't stop your thoughts. Some people tell me, Andy, sometimes I get crazy thoughts. I go, yes, I know, so do I. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do nothing all day, right? So I'm getting it. I'm the motivational speaker, and there's some days I'm like, I don't feel like doing crap, right? But you have to stick to the system. Does that make sense? You have to override, and some people do not simply have a system. That's what I'm here to tell everyone, but you can override all that. And remember, this isn't easy. I get it. Just like reps of a bicep, over time it what? It works and gets bigger and stronger. Same thing with your brain. The more you do this, the easier it what? It gets. To eat right, to speak correctly, to get into this. Andy, I'm not a morning person. Victor knows me for a while, right? I'm not a morning person. Well, neither am I. Right? I'm not a morning person, but I'm up at 6 in the morning every day, even though not on weekends, about 7:30 or so, right? But I'm up. Before, I would sleep until 10, 11, 12 o'clock in high school and college, and growing up, I woke up at 12 o'clock without a problem. It's just habits you have to create, right? I don't feel like doing it. It's not about feeling all the time. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
So that's really awesome right there. Now, this is the proof that we're no longer stimulus response part. We're no longer animalistic creatures of just saying, I see, I do, and I have to do. No, because now you know you can set the intention and override these feelings. And then it feels good. Your brain releases dopamine. It goes into the hippocampus portion of your brain. It stores another great experience. And then over time, all those great experiences make it easier for you to what? For you to do it. That's how habits are created. That's why you need more follow. You know, you all heard the adage, it takes 30 days to make a habit. Right? Well, because you're creating all those experiences, and over time, it gets a little easier for you not to become so reactive. So now, when you hear, that's just the way I am. I had to eat that. You have no idea, Andy, what's going on there. I just had to yell at them. I love that one personally, because in my family, as you can see, I get very cranked up very fast, right? This is why I love to do what I do for a living. I come from a family of screamers.
He's Cuban.
To a relationship. Yeah, let me take that to a relationship. Do you have any idea how many girls that freaked out? How many times they almost called the police on me? Honestly. Really? What do you mean? I'm frustrated. I just scream. Until I evolved as a human being and made a decision and told myself, this is not taking me to my true self. Does that make sense? Yeah. If I want a true relationship, what am I doing? I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I want love, but that's what I'm doing? So that's why I tell you all, and Mike said it, you have to be clear as to what it is you want to do as a human being, and having that self-awareness. And if you're in a reactive state all the time, and you're just telling me, Andy, I have no choice, I'm sorry. Because what I just showed you throws that all out the window. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Assuming you have a healthy, functioning brain. Does that make sense? My dad has Parkinson's. He doesn't have a choice anymore. That makes sense? His brain is completely out of whack. That's not a choice anymore. Now we're talking about something else. So when I talk to individuals who tell me, Andy, I'm not like you. I can't get cranked up in the morning and do all that. No, I'm sorry. That's BS because I create this. This is an end result you see today. Does that make sense to everyone? Mm-hmm. Right? So that's why I tell everyone, have that control. And that's why, no, don't get me wrong. And my mom can, she's probably watching it on Facebook right now, right? My mom's like, ay, pero mijo, estás hablando de mí, right? But I'll still go home, and my mom and I are so alike, she'll still get what? Under my skin sometimes, right? And trust me, you don't get rid of it. I'm not saying it's magic, and you're just like, hey, everything's rainbows and unicorns. Hey, no. What I'm saying is, now you begin to dominate and control yourself. And now when I begin to feel it, I have mental tactics in my head that I go through, that I go, okay, Mom, she's doing the best that she can, so am I. Don't take it personal, Andy. There's a lot of little mantras that we teach, Mike and I. Trust me, we have a 5-week program where we teach this. I can only give you a spoke of the wheel, so you can dominate that. You always have that choice. So that's create, all right? So now you have David and Sandra made 2 different choices. Now multiply that over and over and over again. Do you think his relationship with his wife is going to struggle? Do you think he's going to start feeling remorseful that he can't see his son grow up and watch those games? And his kid turns 15, 18 years old and he's like, holy cow, I wasn't watching those games. There's times where I invite Victor out and Victor's like, no, I can't. I got to go watch my kid's game. I got to go watch him play football. He put barriers up because I'm a close friend of Victor's. And I can tell you as a testament, there's times, hey, let's go hang out. Hey, let's go here, let's go there. He goes, no, man, I can't. I got to go watch my, right? Because that's knowing what your barriers are. That's having clarity. Priorities, but it's so funny though how so many people are clear on their priorities but they don't have the control to actually fulfill that. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about. So now let's go over become. How do I become work-life balance now? So now I get it. I got discover, I got create. Sandra and David here now, they have the clarity. Now let's just say both of them have the control. They know where to draw the lines, they have the control, they override their feelings. Great, let's keep them going now around the wheel. So now let's put them in become. They both become senior vice presidents. They get promoted, both of them, right? They both get promoted. They achieve true success because they have clarity. They know how to say yes. They know how to say no. They know how to do it all. They have the mental control. They have great relationships. They have all these things. They're knocking it out of the park. They're growing like crazy. But the spoke of the wheel where people usually fail is on become is they forget how to sustain true success. And what's become all about? Become is nutrition, how to eat, sleep, what are you drinking if you're working out? Also, productivity tools. Are you organizing your calendar? Do you have a to-do list? Do you have a system? Are you productive? Right? Because if you're not productive and you don't have a system, guess what all that great mental muscle you develop is going to happen with that? It's out the window. Because you're going to go, oh my gosh, I missed another meeting. Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I don't feel like going anywhere. You know, I haven't worked out in years. I'm just tired. You can only suck it up for so long before your body and your productivity will bring you down. Does that make sense to everyone? Mm-hmm. This is why we have the wheel, because that's when we discovered. Why do you think it took us 5 years to build this program? Because Mike and I had to go through it. He talked about how we failed. Absolutely. All I had in the outside world was this, was become. I had all the money, all these things, great, all, but I didn't have it up here, and I didn't have clarity as to what was important to me. So that's why it's important to have all of it together. So now become, what I'm going to talk about today is DES, or it's called the Daily Efficiency Sheet. I'm going to show you a quick strategy. Has anyone read the book Getting Things Done by David Allen? I highly recommend that book. You talk about it, I'm going to give you some good nuggets from that book, and I'm going to change your life with productivity in the next 15 minutes. Check this out, all right? Because this is what it's all about, guys. It's all about getting things done. Because there's no worse feeling than being somewhere and not knowing if you should be there or not. Right? No, does that make sense? Nothing worse than going, because your brain is not a smart machine. That's why when you leave Publix, it reminds you 20 minutes later you forgot something. Does that make sense? Your brain was not created to store ideas. Your brain was created to create ideas. You got that? Yeah. So don't use your brain as an iPhone or a calendar. Don't do that. Especially the higher you go in your positions and the higher you go as employees, you need to do higher level thinking. Does that make sense? And the more you catch yourself in the minutia and not having a system in place, guess what's gonna happen to you? You're gonna forget. So now we have David and Sandra. They got promoted. They're SVPs of a major organization. Awesome. But does this look familiar, right? That's me as well. Before I had a system. You have a post-it note in your car. You have a reminder in your phone.
And I still forget.
Right? You got a third-party app that shows you something else. Like, oh, look, I got a third-party app that talks about this.
And I still forget.
Right? Where else do you guys put your reminders? Give me some ideas. In the fridge? Yes, in the fridge. Your calendar for the kids' appointments, right? What they got going on, the fridge. Anybody else? Any other good, cool spots?
I say it to myself 3 times a day and I still forget.
And you still forget, right? Because your brain's not meant to store ideas, guys. Remember that. So, that's frustrating. And then what you end up doing is, you're like, I got so much to do. And then you look at your drawer and go, oh man, my drawer needs organized. Let me fix it. And then you start fixing it, right? And then you're like, oh man, what else can I do? You know what? Let me go get some coffee. Boom. Un cafecito. And then 11 o'clock comes around, and someone comes to your desk, and they're talking to you about what happened with politics. And oh my God, you believe what happened here? Yeah, and 20 more minutes go by. And then it's 12 o'clock, and you're like, bro, I gotta go to lunch. And then someone asks you, how's your day going? Dude, I'm swamped. I have so much going on, right? Are you busy, or are you building? Does that make sense? And it wasn't until someone called me out, and you know who it was, remember? Call me out, our VP of our organization where we used to work together. He will call you out. He would say, what are you doing next month? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about next month? I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Pero el tipo had his whole month, 3 months, 10 months, a year mapped out. How do you think Mike and I, when we're building these programs, we have a book coming out in August, we have all these gigs going on, all these products we're creating, we share lists together, because we need to know what content are we developing. Okay, workshop on work-life balance? Great, let's pull it from here, 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 boom. We don't just magically make this stuff up. This is all put together months in advance. Oh, let's talk about leadership. Let's talk about employee engagement. Let's talk about, diversity in the workplace, conflict management, anything. You put it all together, but you have to map this out months in advance because he's got 3 kids and he's married, right? I'm supporting my mom and dad, spending time with my family. This is great. But you have to have a system in place to make sure you're moving everything forward, all right? So now, Des is taking control of your day. Now, here's what it looks like, and before you start freaking out with all the things, I'm going to block it, all right? We're going to go over the fundamentals of this. Now, don't freak out, because I did when I saw paper. I'm like, I don't want to write it on paper, right? I'm one of those people that love everything electronic. If you're like me, don't worry. I teach also digital Des, and we'll give you access to that as well. Like I told you, everyone's going to get a freebie for being here today. You're going to get that. We teach you how to do digital Des and other content. But on the paper, I want to teach you the fundamentals of it, okay? Because the fundamentals are the same. So this is digital. This is not digital. This is Des, the original Des. Daily efficiency sheet. You need to have a system in place. And a famous quote is, if you don't have a plan, you become part of somebody else's plan. If your day consists of opening up an email or opening up your inbox on your phone and you start answering emails, you have no system. Does that make sense? But we all do it. And I still fight it. Trust me, that feeling, I go, I want to check my inbox, I want to clean it up, I want to do this. I'm like, no. You have to have the control part right and resist and go, no, that's not going against it. I'm going to show you what it is you need to do. So let's go over the big rocks. The big rocks are things that can't be done in 1 or 2 days. They can be done in a couple weeks, a couple months, a couple years. Where do you get your big rocks from? Well, Mike spoke about it, right? With Discover. What are your big rocks? What are your values? What do you want to do? You want to learn another language? You want to travel, you want to get married, you want to learn a new part of your business, maybe you want to learn about marketing, maybe you want to learn about programming in your business, whatever it is, you put it up there, and this becomes your big rocks, because it's all about what's important to who? To you. Because if you're reacting to someone's inbox, you're reacting to their to-do list. Does that make sense? An inbox is a collection of everyone else's to-do list. All right? Remember that. So you need to keep your big rocks going. So your big rocks, you got them up there. Great. Then you have, what are the 5 things I should be doing to move those big rocks forward? right? Because you have a big old rock, I imagine it, but it's not going to move itself. So, okay, if I'm going to get married, I have to find the location of the church. I have to send invitations out. I have to find a DJ, whatever it is, right? You start pushing that big rock forward and moving it forward and moving it forward. Great. You write that down. And then the middle portion of this is the brainstorm session. I do this at night. Some people like to do it in the morning of. Depends on, some people are like Andy, por la mañana, in the morning. It's crazy in my house. I have to do it the night prior. That's fine. What you do here is literally you close your eyes for 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
15 minutes.
And yeah, whatever it is, you can meditate as well, right? It could be a form of meditation as well. I'm glad you do that because not many people do. And it puts you in a good state, doesn't it? You start thinking, and you literally start traveling. You start going, okay, I wake up in the morning, I gotta go, Home Depot. That's right, I gotta go to Home Depot and buy paint. Okay, I gotta get into the office. Lisa owes me a report. Okay, boom. And what you start to do here is, you start to grab all those Post-it notes that you have scattered everywhere. And in the book, Getting Things Done, this is called the collection phase, where you collect everything. Every source of to-do list programming you had before no longer exists. You have to collect it all and put it all into one location. Does that make sense? Because your brain is smart. You know why your brain is smart? Even if you write it down on a piece of paper somewhere, if your brain knows you're never going to look at that sheet of paper again, guess what? Your brain still has that open loop. Does that make sense? And you're still going to think about it. You can't bullshit your brain. That's the cool part about it, right? You can't. So until that loop is closed and you have a trusted system, then your brain goes, right? Like, okay, good. Now we can think about something else. Now you can think about higher level thinking. Because there's nothing worse than thinking about all these little open loops you have open up, and then your brain is all cluttered and you can't think about anything else. Does that make sense? That's why it's so important to write it down, the collection phase, like she does. Think about it. You're walking to the office, you go home, I got my car, I gotta give, oh, that's right, I got a flat tire, and you put it all into one list, and you start dumping it here at the bottom, where it says begin with this. You put begin with this, and you have your list here, and you write down all the things you need to do. All of them. That's what you have to do. Everything. Personal, business, as small as it sounds, I'm telling you. So you know, why do you think Steve Jobs had the same outfit all the time? And what's the guy from Facebook? Zuckerberg. Do you realize they wear the same outfits? I was listening to a podcast. You know why they were doing that? So they don't have to think about their outfit because you only have a certain amount of mental power throughout the day. Think about it. And they're right. Towards the end of the day, your gas tank on mental clarity and strength is going what? Down. They don't want to think about freaking clothes. They're thinking about billions of dollars. Does that make sense? It's pretty cool. I was like, wow, I didn't realize that. I thought we were just like boring. You know, like same old clothes. So that's why they did that. So you're going to write that all down at the bottom and figure out what it is you have to do. Personal, business, everything goes there. Now here's a word, oh, and one more thing. Rank them in ABC order. Because everything is not a priority. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Everything is not a priority. ABC, A being the most important, then B, then C, we all got that, right? Now, when you write your to-do list, you see how it says call Bob? Be careful with being general. Because today you write call Bob, but tomorrow morning you look at call Bob. Yes, I was thinking what she said. I won't repeat it. But that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, what the heck? You know, what does that mean? And you're wasting what there? Brain power. Thank you. She's a camera woman, and she's and paying attention. Thank you. Karen. Thank you so much, Karen. And she is caring. Karen? All right, sorry about the cheeky joke. All right, so guys, you're wasting your mental power, aren't you? So that's what's happening. I don't want you to revisit that and go, oh, what? I forgot about this. What was it? Right, okay, I gotta call Bob for the Q1 AP report. Okay, my accounts payable, oh, great. So when I wake up in the morning, I see that, and it's already been thought out, because there's no worse energy than doing it again. You gotta think about it like, oh, that's right. That's a waste of time. We're talking about here being productive here, right? So you'll write that down. Beautiful. So now, why is it called begin with this, they say? Well, life happens, right? You get spun around. Your kids call you with a disaster. Something happens with your wife. So you get a text message, it throws you off. You get an ESPN update. You know, you get an update on pandas in Ireland, and you want to open up that article and you check it out. You're like, oh, wow, look at that panda. Or a cat video. You're like, oh my God. life happens. Does that make sense? We get it. But here's the problem with being spun around. Guess what we do? The next activity is, oh, look at my Outlook. The little bubble popped up. Let me go see who wrote me an email. Oh, let me delete it. Let me go do something with it. Stop that. That's proximity living, meaning you're only doing the things that are around you. You're only doing things that, oh, let me just refile my filing cabinet. It didn't look right the first time, right? That's what I'm talking about. Get away from that. You're not being as productive as you should be, and you're putting the big rocks towards the end of the day, and then what happens to that? It doesn't get done. You can't BS yourself. But remember, change takes effort. You're going to fight this urge. Remember how we talked about control? You're going to have the urge to check your email. You're going to have the urge to just go to the, get some coffee. You're going to have the urge to do something else, check someone's email, liquidate that, do something simple, but you have to move your big rock. Does that make sense? What's your A? You got to go after your A's. Go after those. And then you can worry about the other ones. That's why it's so important, because then you go, and Mike is famous for this. He'll just go, and I'm seeing him, I'm like, Mike, what are you doing? He'll go, no, I'm looking at my list. I lost my thought. Got to start with this. Boom, look at this, and then you start off right on the big rocks again. All right, you got to look at your A's, go right to the important task. Now let's walk you through the first 2 days, guys. This is how you're going to implement this. So your first 2 days of this, because you just got to do this, guys. I'm sorry. If you want to be productive, and I'm going to get to them, my senior VPs, I'm going to get to them in just a second, because if they don't have a system, here's what's going to happen. And who's an entrepreneur here? Who owns their own business? Raise your hand. Entrepreneurs. All right, all of you. So you need this more than anybody, because who sets your schedule? You do. So no one's going to get on your ass if you don't go to work. Does that make sense? You can run your business to the ground, or you can run it to a Fortune 500 organization. That's why I love it. People think it's fun and it's great. Yeah, right. I work 80 hours a week to not work 40 hours a week. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
I would rather work 80 hours a week on my vision, because this is what this is. This is Mike and I's story. We went to high school together. We fell together. We grew together. Now we're amazing together. I love this. It's my bromance over there, right? It's our business. We can do this. We love this, right? But we would rather do this than work 40 hours a week on someone else's dream. That makes sense? Not to discount it. I'm just saying, being an employee, that's fantastic, grow and all that, awesome, just not for us, right? But you need to have a system in place. But even if you're an employee, do you have to have a system? Yes, you better do, because then you start getting promoted, you start moving up faster. Absolutely, you got to do that. So now, the first 2 days, well, you'll do the Discover exercise. You'll find out. You'll walk through that, guys. And remember, I'm giving you the freebie today. It walks you through the discovery process. You'll see that all in detail so you guys can walk and do your value exercise. You want to do your value exercise. You want to see what's important to you, what's going to have you go to the next level. You go ahead and you do that. So you write down, okay, these are my big rocks that I want to move. And then you write down, all right, what are the things that I need to do to move those big rocks moving forward, right? If you want to learn a new language, it's maybe signing up for Miami Dade, for a course, getting an app on your phone, buying the Rosetta Stone, right? Things that I have to do to move my big rocks going forward. But then you're going to brainstorm. The first time you do this, you're going to have to brainstorm. It's going to take a lot of time, maybe 5, 10, like Mike says, those 10 minutes might take a while. But especially the first day you do this, you got to think about all the things you have. Literally, grab all the stuff from your drawers, all your Post-it notes, take them all, put them all into one location. I'm telling you, it took me a couple of hours to do this collection phase. But once I did it, I'm telling you, it felt great because I knew everything was located where? In my agenda. Does that make sense? Everything, from my kids' games to my nephew's games to leap years. I just had everything here. I have it all. Feels great. All these loops are closed now. So then you do the brainstorm. You think about your day. You write down all the small things you need to do throughout that day. You rank them in order. A, B, C, whatever it is you want me to rank them in. Rank them in there. A, B, C. You write them out. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. You may feel stressed sometimes as you see your to-do list. Who's ever felt that stress before when they have to do something and they avoid it and they end up doing what? Yes. That's all. I've been there. You're like, uh-oh, I don't want to do that. Let me go do this one. It seems easier. There's 2 things that can help you out with that. Let me give you some little hacks for that. Number 1 is ask for help. I know that sounds simple, and we teach this when we talk about culture change, when Mike and I do culture change workshops. because you have to create a culture in your organization that empowers this kind of trust. You can't just expect your employees to say, oh, just ask for help, but yet you're not promoting that type of behavior in the workplace, or you don't give off that kind of vibe in your workplace, right? So that's a whole different conversation, but just to say, ask for help is huge, because you asking someone else for help also builds trust, right? Because that person says, wow, they came to me for something, that's pretty cool. And then you build trust with them, like, hey, they helped me out. And then you as a boss, you love when your employees are resolving issues on their own, because it's less stuff for what?
For me.
Less stuff for you to worry about, because they're resolving stuff on their own. So that's why it's so important you learn that, and we teach that. So ask for help is one way to get rid of that stress. Another way to get rid of the stress is break it down even further, the task. Because maybe you're taking on a project that has too many moving parts. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Maybe it's like a huge budget report you have to do, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna say that for later. Let me do all these little ones, these little C's and B's. But that A is staring at you, right? That monster A is staring at you. Well, maybe you should break down report and maybe put contact Lisa for Q1 financials on flowers. Because I need that report to start this other report. See what I'm saying? So break it down. Don't just say full course dinner. Say, oh, I need sugar, I need flour, I need eggs. I break it down by ingredient. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you'll see how that anxiety goes away, because it's an easy step. You're like, okay, I just got to do that. Dale. And you start picking up momentum. Right? Very, very nice to understand that. Now, Andy, what if I don't finish all my to-dos in one day? There you go. So day one, you didn't finish all your to-dos. Not a problem. You roll them over where? To the next day. But word of caution though, just because something is a B today doesn't mean it's an A tomorrow. Does that make sense? Be cautious of that. Sometimes I think I have 13 things on my to-do list today. I still have some C's there that have been there for some time. Does that make sense? Because they don't move up the chart. I would rather, sometimes you're just going to have to let some things go. Does that make sense? Or delegate to other people.
Amen.
The worst part is to fully work on C's, and then the A's become a procrastination section. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Where people are like, oh, I got to get to that A. You should have done it 3 weeks ago. Pero lo tengo que hacer ahora. I got to go. I got to miss now the game. I got to miss dinner. I got to miss this. And you become that person that says, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. No, you're not. You just suck at productivity. Right? Really? Sometimes things come out of nowhere. I get it. Life happens. But 9 times out of 10, when someone's like, oh, I'm busy. I can't go, man. Can't go to the heat game with you. I got this report due. My boss is on my ass. This and that. It's usually your fault. That's what I've done, because I was that guy. That makes sense? And I fight being that guy. Does that make sense as well? Because I can procrastinate like anyone else. I make you all look like freaking the biggest producers of anything. And sometimes Mike is my coach. He's like, Andy, this product we're working on, your part's due, dude. Are you working on it? What's going on? Are you playing more golf than you should? Right? That's what happens. You can't call it out. So you need a system in place to make sure, and it prevents you. Like inside, I'm 300 pounds. I can eat ropa vieja all day long. I love ice cream. But you have to have a system in place to what? To stop you from doing that. Does that make sense for everyone? You have to have a system. That's what this productivity does for you all. Now, this is a great quote that I love to understand, because that's productivity that we have this. And I love this. Instead of wondering when your next vacation is going to be, how about you create a life where you don't need to escape to one?
You always need to say this.
Correct. I will say that. And I'm going to Alabama in 2 days to the Trent Jones golf courses, so trust me, I know about vacations. I love it. But I will say this. I don't want you to live a life where that work-life balance for you never happens, and then you just need this vacation all the time. It's like this hanging carrot you live a life of, and you're like, I just work so hard. And no, the problem is, like Mike says, this is like an athlete, a football player, left and right. And if you know what to say yes to and no to, and you do things that are truly valuable to you, as you're working, as you're living, you're truly enjoying the life of your dreams. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But if you're just working, now everyone's split's going to be different. Some people may have an 80-20 split, right? 70-30 split on one side or another. We get that. It's all up to who?
Yes.
All up to you. But you'll say, but that 30% of my family is amazing. Does that make sense? As opposed to a 99-1 split. You say, no, 7-30 split. Maybe I'm at a point in my life where I have to really crank it out. But when you give that 30, it's really a great 30. Does that make sense for everyone? That's what work-life balance is. There's no 50-50, like Mike said, the perfect balance. That doesn't exist. I'm sorry. We don't teach that. Because that's not the life you live in. It's literally juking.
Reality.
The reality we live is juking left, right, balancing it all, but having a plan in place. Because if you don't have a shopping list and you go to the grocery store, you're going to end up what?
Overbuying.
You're going to buy whatever the hell comes your way. If you don't have a productivity list, if you don't have the control of your brain, if you don't have the clarity, you're just going to react to everyone's agenda. But when you're clear, you have control, you have a system, now when someone tells you, hey man, you want to do this? Now you're better equipped to say no when you have to. Because when you say no to some things, you're saying yes to what? Other things. And then when you say yes to other things, you're saying no to other things. People say, well, Andy, I can't say no. Well, you are kind of saying no when you say yes, because yes, you'll go out, have drinks, stay out till 4 in the morning, but then you're saying no to the life of your dreams because you should have woke up the next day and wrote your blog or done your workout or gone to your kids' workout or whatever it is. That's what you're saying no to. You're saying no to things that you truly value. So that's why I say it's very important to understand what it is, who it is you need to be, so then it becomes very transparent in your day-to-day. That's exactly what Discover, Create, and Become is, guys. I know we only had just about an hour with you all here today. We can only condense this so much, but we wanted to give you one lap around this wheel on work-life balance. That's exactly what it's all about. Having that clarity, and you can't miss one. You can't take one out, because if you have the mental control and you have the productivity, but you have no clarity, you're going to end up doing everything out there and live someone else's life, like Mike said. If you don't have the mental fitness, but you have the clarity, you're going to say, oh, I'm just going to go with my emotions. And then I get scared. I don't get it. I know what I like, but I keep making the same mistake. I keep finding the wrong guy, right? I don't know what I want. This guy, I always attract these bad boys in my life. Or that's bullshit, because you're not clear on what you want. You always work from emotions, right? And you have no plan in place. Because, but I love him. Really? But you don't love yourself because you're breaking every barrier you said you had about yourself on the values of things you value. Does that make sense to you all? That's why it's so important. It doesn't matter what it is in work, in business, in your personal life. It's all about having that discover, that create, and that become. So guys, that ends our session on work-life balance. And I really appreciate you all having us out here. And before we wrap up, what I want to cover really quick is the sheet we have in front of you. We have different topics we cover. And like I said on the business card, if you have a question for us, which we'll have a Q&A right now, a meeting, referral, you see services for us, you can see the topics. We also speak at universities, at middle schools. I have a passion for kids, especially because I think we should be having these conversations at age 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 21. But our school doesn't do that. But I love them. Create meaning in the workplace. That's a big one. Because so many employers have such a tough time keeping employees happy, because happy employees means they produce more and they don't leave you. Because the hardest thing to do as an employer is to find the right person. We were talking about this with Joy, right? Is spending all your resources hiring people and going through that process and training them, and then you end up finding the wrong one. Not including all the internal resources you spend trying to create that superstar. Or also trying to locate that superstar in your organization. Maybe you have a superstar in your organization, but you have them doing the wrong role. Does that make sense? So we do a lot of that as well. So take a look at that right there. And that's exactly what we do, guys. So if you all have any questions for us, you guys have my information. You guys can ask ahead. It's open forum. As you can see, we're just very open. This is really who we are. And thank you so much for having us, guys. I truly appreciate this. Give yourself a round of applause.